September 21st is the anniversary of the worst hurricane in New England history, and it's not Sandy or Irene. The story of the 1938 hurricane has been a wild one. I was hoping to finish this book before the anniversary. I got really, really close. Let me tell you what I've learned so far. 87 years ago today, a Category 3 hurricane made landfall in Long Island, New York, and New Haven, Connecticut. Here are some quick stats about the 1938 hurricane, and then we're going to talk about what happened and why. At least 700 people died in the Great 1938 hurricane, and over 1,800 were injured. About 5,000 buildings were completely destroyed, and about 15,000 were damaged. About 80% of all power and electricity throughout New England was taken down. About 50 million trees were blown down in New England. About 75% of those in New Hampshire alone were white pine. 15 million acres of forest were blown down, and this is equivalent to the size of about West Virginia. The cleanup project for this was unlike anything the United States had ever seen before. Not only were all the trees blocking roads, paths, trails, and all kinds of stuff like that, but they were worried about wildfire risk in coming years with all those trees down, so they had to find a way to get them all and log them all and process them all incredibly fast. This one-day event added about 5 to 10 years worth of lumber to the market almost immediately. The reason this happened, it had already been a wet summer in 1938. It was an even wetter week before the storm hit. And then the storm traveled at 50 miles an hour, bringing wind speeds like nobody had ever seen before. Mount Washington Observatory reported wind speeds, longer duration wind speeds, of 118 miles an hour with gusts up to 163. The Blue Hill Observatory had wind speeds of 121 miles an hour with gusts to 189, and then the anemometer broke before the worst of the storm. So when the storm was at equal latitudes of Florida, it was a Category 5 storm. And as it moved north, it did slowly drop in category from a 4 down to a 3 at landfall. The summer of 1938 was a wet one, and most places throughout New England, before the storm had arrived, had received 125 to 150% of the precipitation they would normally see during that time. Between September 17th and 20th, places throughout New England saw between 4 and 10 inches of rain. There were isolated higher amounts, like Barre, Massachusetts had over 15. The nail in the coffin is this Category 3 storm was moving inland at 50 miles per hour, and then it went extratropical. This means the storm was no longer fueled by warm ocean waters, but instead by temperature differentials. When this happens, centripetal force and the Coriolis force are no longer in balance, and the storm expands, as does its wind fields. Check back tomorrow for part 2 of the Great 1938 Hurricane. And sign up for my hurricane talk on Tuesday, September 23rd at 12 noon with the Harris Center on Zoom.